Hi folks, welcome to Testing Hacks. Today we will discuss about the types of testing. You might be knowing what is software testing. Actually, the software testing is a process of verifying the system with the purpose of identifying any errors, gaps or missing requirement versus the actual requirement, right? So, if you have not watched those videos, I will provide the details in the description box. So, please do watch those videos. When it comes to types of testing, we have three major different types of testing: white box testing, black box testing, and gray box testing. So, with that, we have some structure over here, right? White box testing is generally known as this is the part which is tested by the developers. And when it comes to black box testing, this is also known as a functional testing, which will be performed by the testers. So with this difference, we will proceed with what is white box testing. So then what is white box testing then? White box testing is a technique that examines the program structure or design and with program logic or the code. Especially this process is to verify the working code. Okay, finally, whatever the working code we have, the part of testing which is also known as unit testing. Okay, so this is known as white box testing, and also it is called with a different set of names, which can be either clear box testing, open box testing, transparent box testing, code based testing, glass box testing. Whatever with this name is known as white box testing. And we have some sample code here. So basically this program is to add two numbers. Okay, we are taking the input of two numbers, say a and b here. Okay, and then we are adding those two numbers and finally printing the sum of the two numbers. So this is one of the sample and very basic program that I have taken here. Okay, so what we will do in this particular program is basically the goal of the white box testing is to verify a working flow of an application. Syntax and designing should meet the standards, which is nothing but the as per that particular programming standards, the code whichever has been written should match that standard. What is the need to perform the white box testing then? To check the internal structure, to verify the broken or poorly structured parts in the coding process, to identify the working flow of an application, to check expected output is coming, testing of each of the statement, testing of object, testing of function on an individual basis. So this is what we will perform during the process of white box testing. And we have certain techniques used to test the code. First is statement coverage. Particularly in this statement coverage, each statement written by the developer will be tested. Okay, line by line, the statement will be tested. Branch coverage. All the branches like if statements, switch condition and loops will be tested as part of the branch coverage. And path coverage. In this technique, all possible path, which means that each statement and branch is covered and tested. So these are the major techniques that we follow. White box testing. Black box testing is a method of software testing that examines the functionality of an application without having the knowledge of internal code structure. Major focus of black box testing is the output with the given set of input. Okay, and black box testing is also known as behavioral testing. So with the definition, what I can say is if you have already watched the video on white box testing where we will just check the internal code structure, but while testing the black box, you know, the application using the black box technique, you will not be knowing the internal structure of the application. So rather you will be testing the application on an UI basis. Okay, you will not be having any internal structure, code structure knowledge. Okay, and also the major focus of the black box testing is with the output, wherein you are giving a set of input to the application. If you can see here, so we are giving a set of input to the application which will result in the output. So we will discuss more about it. Okay, so this is just the definition of black box testing. And coming to how the black box testing is performed, first we will analyze the requirement and identify the scenarios. Next is document the test cases, execute the steps, and then finally you are verifying the output, if that expected behavior, and finally logging the defect. We will go to one by one. So firstly, when the requirement is given, what a tester will generally do is he will start analyzing the requirement. What actually has been stated in the requirement does matters really. So first you have to analyze the client requirement, what the client actually needs. And next is identify the scenarios. So what happens if the changes has been needs to be done on an existing application? What you will do, if there is some reference, you will go and perform some ad hoc testing by giving some valid as well as invalid inputs. To write the test cases you need some basis, right? So that is the reason you will go and do some ad hoc testing or monkey testing actually. We can do some monkey kind of testing to get the valid and invalid scenarios, and that is the second step we will do. And then the next step is document. So whatever the identified scenarios needs to be documented, and that needs to be converted as a test cases. So that needs to be identified, and then you have to put it in a document first. And also there are some tools where you can write the test cases. Generally there are both the methods that has been followed in the IT industry. Some of them will make a note of it in an Excel, and then that can be pulled into the tool later. So that is also possible. Okay, we will go to one of the test management tool in the later session. Okay, next step is to execute. So whatever the test cases you have written, okay, so you have already written the test cases and you are ready to the next step. So when you will start executing, but you will start the execution only when the developer deploys the code. Okay, so once you have the code in hand for that particular requirement, you will start executing the test cases already which you have already identified. And next is while execution you will get to know with the valid and invalid inputs, will get to know what exactly uh, is matching with the expected result. If it is not matching with the expected result, then you what you'll do, you will go and log a defect. Okay, so these are the steps we'll follow in the black box testing process. Next is types of testing. In types of testing, we have majorly two different types of testing. One is functional testing and another one is non-functional testing. And also some of them considers regression testing as another type of testing. Okay, so when it comes to functional testing, the black box testing type is related to functional requirement of the system. It is done by the software testers majorly. Okay, so as we have already discussed about the functional, which is a black box testing, black box testing is nothing but the functional testing. Okay, so the black box testing is, we will generally what we will do is we will verify the functionality of the application. For example, system testing, integration testing, smoke testing, and regression testing. So these types of testing will be considered as a part of functional testing, where we will verify the functionality of the application. When it comes to non-functional testing, so this type of black box testing is not related to testing of specific functionality but non-functional requirements, which does mean that it is completely related to the performance of the application, how the application is performing, and how the usability of the application is, and how strong the security is, and how the compatibility is. There are various non-functional testing types. We will look into this non-functional testing as a separate different session. So now we will go to the functional testing techniques, or else the black box testing techniques. Under black box testing techniques, we have several techniques, but these four are considered as the major or the main techniques of black box testing. Okay, so which is boundary value analysis, equivalence partitioning, state transition testing, and decision table testing. So we will go through each of them. The first thing is boundary value analysis. As the name suggests, boundaries will be tested here. So in this process, extreme boundaries are tested. Okay, so let's see what are the inputs that we can give to test the application with the boundary values. Suppose say one is minimum value, more than minimum value, exact value, below maximum value, and maximum value. If you see here, we have minimum value here, right? And then next is more than minimum value, next is the exact value, and next is maximum minus, which is below maximum value, and next is the maximum value. So this is about the boundary value analysis. So the next topic is, what is equivalence partitioning then? Equivalence partitioning or equivalence class partitioning is a type of black box testing technique where input data will be divided into equivalent partitions. You can apply this technique when when there is a range for the input field. The system will be tested with the set of valid and invalid data. Suppose say there is an example, let me give, where you can divide the inputs into set of equivalent parts. Okay, so say there is a text box which accepts the range in between 10 to 60. So what the range you can give is, to test the valid input you can give 10, 20, 35, 60. Okay, this is the valid set of inputs. When it comes to invalid, -8, 0, 5, and 61, all of them should not be accepted, and user should be thrown with the error message stating that this is not a valid input value, so please do input the valid values. So let's see an example now. Let's take an example of Gmail. Okay, we have certain fields like first name, last name, username, and then which is nothing but the Gmail ID and password and confirm password. So what we will do, uh, to check the boundary, okay, to check the boundary value analysis, what we can do is, first we'll try to give in the username field, which is an invalid value we will give. Say suppose, mm, okay, let me fill in some random name here. Okay, and then okay, it is asking for this. Okay, oh, it actually, this is a valid set of character, right, which it actually suggested us. Suppose if I don't want that, I'll just give some random ABC, so which is nothing but, it thrown me an error message stating that sorry, your username must be 6 and 30 characters long. Okay, so this is the what the validation is happening. So it is asking us to fill in the values in between 6 and 30, which is, if it is less than 6, it is throwing us an error. Suppose say if I enter the value which is equal to 6, 567. Okay, see this all, and the second condition is this, so wherein the username is matching, but it already exists in their system. So either you can just give, it should also, yeah, throw us an error stating that sorry, only letters can be entered. So these are the different set of valid and invalid values you can provide to test a particular application. Okay. And the next black box testing technique is the decision table. So what is decision table then? So here are the things. One is a decision table is a tabular representation of inputs and outputs. One thing I have to keep in mind. Decision table, okay, helps to check all possible combination of conditions for testing, and testers can also identify missed conditions easily. It is the second thing. And next is the representation of condition will be either true or false. Okay. Decision table testing is a software testing technique used to test the system behavior for different input combinations for the same application by providing different range of values like what we did, right? So we will take another example and see what is that. This is a systematic approach where the different input combination and their corresponding output are captured in tabular form. Also, this is known as cause effect graph. Fine. So let's take an example. So we have taken an example of login page, okay, where we have a certain condition which is nothing but username and password. Okay. So those are the two input fields we have. And then first we will consider one case and we will go to one example and we will go through what is going on here. First in first condition what we are doing, we are entering false username and then false password. In that case you will be thrown with an error stating that username and password is wrong. Okay. Next is with the false combination of username and then a right combination of password, then also you will be thrown with an error. And then with the one of the true value and another is false value wherein username is true and password is false, then also you will be thrown with a error message. And the fourth combination is you are giving username and password as a valid or the true values which will land you onto the home page. This is about the decision table. And we have final technique which is state transition table. Okay. So what is state transition table means? Based on the type of software that is tested, state transition table checks the behavior of the application changes of a system in a particular state or another state while maintaining the same inputs. Okay. It accepts the set of inputs and checks the software against the sequence of transitions or events among the test data. So so what we got to know is in this particular technique what happens, the state will be changed from one state to another state based on the input. Suppose say we'll consider an login screen example, okay, where you have um, entered three times wrong password, okay, but the username should be same. With for the same user id, if you have entered three times wrong password, if you consider in your real time Facebook application itself, if you enter more than three times wrong password, the account will get locked out. Okay. And also where the first attempt it will be, first try will be okay, and that will get recorded in the system, and the second chance will also get recorded in the system, and the third chance will also get recorded in the system where it will change its state from one state to another state. And if you want to unlock that application you might have to go to forgot password, or you might have to do some other thing where again your again the status or the state of your application will changed back to the active status. So this is what state transition table means. So let's take another example of a ATM. If you go to ATM and if you want to try to get the money from the ATM, first what you will do, you will insert the card to the machine, right? So once you insert the card, you will you might enter some details, and then you will wait for the pin, you know, pin page where you can enter your pin. So in the first attempt, you will enter the pin, and if that pin matches, you will be logged into the account, and so that you can get your money, right? That is the first step. So in the first step, if you fail, you will get another chance to enter the right pin, correct? So in that case, if you enter a right pin, you will be accessed to the account where you will get the money. Okay, suppose in that case also you will fail to enter the right pin, you will be having another one option where you have to enter the right pin. Suppose if you don't enter right pin, the account will get locked, wherein the state of the account gets changed from unlocked or active status to locked status. So this is what is known as state transition table. However, your account was in an active status, and then finally it got locked if you entered the wrong pin for 3 times. Okay, in the case of right pin, you will be able to access the account, which is where the account will be in an active status itself. Okay, but when you enter wrong pin, your ultimately your account will get locked, or else your card might get locked. That is where the state transition table works. And also, suppose if your card is locked, then you will again go to the um, bank, or else there are some application from where you can reset your, or else you can activate your card, right? In that case, what happens, it will come back from locked status to active status. So this is how the state transition table works. What is gray box testing? So gray box testing is a combination of white box and black box testing. This testing technique is used to test a software product or application with partial knowledge of internal structure of the application. So the purpose of this gray box testing is to search and identify defects due to improper code structure or improper use of application. So in black box testing, so we as a testers, without having any coding knowledge, we will apply the only analytical and our thinking skills, and based on that we will execute the application scenarios, right? While in the white box testing, uh, here in this white box testing technique, we will be having the code knowledge, which results in gray box testing. In the sense, in black box testing with no coding knowledge, with white box testing with coding knowledge, where it results in gray box testing, which is nothing but in gray box testing we will be having partial knowledge of coding. Okay, so that is what is known as gray box testing. Gray box testing techniques, so we have several different gray box testing technique, where it is matrix testing, pattern testing, orthogonal testing, and regression testing. Okay, the first one is matrix testing. In matrix testing technique, business and technical risks which are defined by the developers in software programs are examined. Developers define all the variables that exist in the program. Each of the variable has an inherent technical and business risks and can be used with varied frequencies during its life cycle. When it comes to pattern testing, it is used to perform the testing previous defects are analyzed, to perform the testing whereon the previous defects are analyzed. Pattern testing determines the cause of failure by looking into the code. Analysis template includes reason for the defect. This helps test cases design as they are proactive in finding other failure before hitting production. Next technique is orthogonal array testing. It is mainly a black box testing technique. In orthogonal array testing, test data have n number of permutation and combinations. Orthogonal array testing is preferred when maximum coverage is required when there are very few test cases and test data is large. This is very helpful in testing complex applications. And coming to regression testing, to verify code change has not adversely affected the existing features, we will perform the regression testing. Regression testing is a testing the software after every change in the software to make sure that the changes or the new functionalities are not affecting the existing functionality of the system. Regression testing is also carried out to ensure that the fixing any defect has not affected other functionality of the software. So these are the four different techniques we have in gray box testing. So we will look at an example how we can perform gray box testing even with having little code knowledge as well as not knowing much code knowledge in between, which is a partial um, kind of testing. Okay, we will do that now. Here I have taken an example of freelancing homepage. Okay, so on this main website, we will try to do some changes using the browser itself. So once you're in this page, we have developer tools, right? You might be knowing developer tool. If you don't know, just hit on F12. Okay, you will get the developer tool window like this. Okay, so where you can see that all the elements here, which is the HTML elements, you can find it here, and these are the CSS styles where the styling of the application has been done. Okay, so let's try to do some kind of freshening activity here. So click on this arrow kind of thing, you are able to see, right? So hit on this. So let's do some changes on the header. Okay, so I clicked on this. Okay, so which will highlight the particular element in the HTML. So I want to change this to find jobs for me. So what I'll do, I'll just click on this, find jobs for me. Okay, see, did you see that it updated my text? Suppose say in real time what happens, you are facing some UI kind of issues that you can actually debug by yourself rather than going to a developer, so that you can tell the developer that you can do these changes, but these are only for your browser. You are not deploying it or you're not doing the changes in the real time. It is only for your browser you are trying to do some changes. Okay, so what else we will do is, here we can see some CSS style, right? Let's change the font of all the header, navigation menu to something like 20, 24. Okay, it was 14 before, so I updated it. Did you see that it got updated? Okay, and let's change the color. Let's change the color to red. Okay, so let me give the color code of CSS. So it is double F 0000. Yeah, did you see that? So now it got changed to red. So how did you feel? So is this, isn't this really exciting? So yeah, so you by yourself you can do many more things. Even though you are a tester, you should possess some knowledge like this. Definitely it is really helpful. So this is all about gray box testing. If you have any doubts or question, please do comment it out and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.